Picture this. The gas lamps flicker dimly in the fog-choked streets of 19th century London. Shadows move in every alley, and fear hangs in the air. Crime wasn't just a fear in Victorian England, it was an epidemic. In the bustling heart of the British Empire, crime rates surged to unprecedented levels. Pickpockets prowled the streets, gangs ruled entire districts, and the fear of a knife-wielding madman became all too real. Can you imagine a city living in such fear? Today, we're peeling back the layers of Victorian society to expose its dark underbelly, exploring some of the most spectacular crimes that left an indelible mark on the era. Victorian England, a time of extraordinary innovation, industry, and societal change, was also plagued by the darker side of human nature. The era is often remembered for its technological advancements, strict social codes, and grandeur of the British Empire. However, beneath this veneer of progress lay a growing undercurrent of crime, fed by poverty, urbanization, and inadequate law enforcement. As London and other major cities ballooned in population, crime became an inevitable part of the urban landscape. While the upper echelons of society enjoyed luxury, the impoverished working class struggled to survive, often turning to theft, fraud, and violence out of sheer desperation. From brutal murders to elaborate cons, the crimes of this period were as varied as the people who committed them. Today, we are diving deep into the sinister world of Victorian crime, uncovering the notorious criminals and the spectacular cases that captured public attention. We'll also explore the challenges faced by law enforcement during this chaotic time and see how the criminal activities of the 19th century shaped the future of policing. Before we get into the blood-curdling tales of murder and deception, it's important to understand the unique challenges law enforcement faced during the Victorian era. The rapid pace of industrialization in the 19th century meant that cities like London were expanding at a previously unimaginable rate. Thousands of people, mostly rural poor, flocked to the cities in search of work, but many found only slums and unemployment waiting for them. The result? A surge in urban poverty, which in turn led to an increase in criminal activities. The existing police force, which was officially established with the formation of the Metropolitan Police in 1829, was woefully underprepared to handle the sheer volume of crimes being committed. Before this, crime prevention and investigation were left largely to local constables, night watchmen, and private detectives. The idea of organized, professional policing was still new, and many officers lacked proper training. Additionally, Victorian law enforcement operated under archaic and sometimes corrupt systems. Criminal justice was heavily skewed in favor of the wealthy, and the working poor often faced harsher punishments for lesser crimes. The legal landscape was one where hangings were still public spectacles, and transportation to penal colonies was a common punishment. Despite these issues, Victorian society was obsessed with crime. The public devoured stories of murderers, thieves, and swindlers in the press. Crime novels and penny dreadfuls became popular, fueling a dark fascination with the criminal underworld. It was against this backdrop that some of the most notorious criminals in history emerged. Class disparities during this period further fueled criminal activities. The stark divide between the wealthy elite and the impoverished working class created a breeding ground for resentment and frustration. Many individuals in lower socioeconomic brackets felt marginalized and powerless, leading some to resort to crime as a means of survival. The allure of quick wealth through illegal means became increasingly tempting in a society where opportunities were limited for the less fortunate. Notable crime hotspots emerged in cities like London and Manchester, where notorious neighborhoods such as Whitechapel and Ancoats became synonymous with vice and lawlessness. These areas were often plagued by gang activity, prostitution, and violent crime, drawing the attention of both the public and law enforcement. Understanding the social and economic conditions of the Victorian era is crucial to grasping the complexities of crime during this tumultuous time, as they reveal the underlying factors that shaped a crime-ridden landscape. In the realm of Victorian detective work, several key figures emerged who not only tackled the era's most notorious crimes but also inspired the legendary character of Sherlock Holmes created by Arthur Conan Doyle. One of the most notable detectives was Inspector Frederick Aberline, who played a pivotal role in the investigation of the infamous Jack the Ripper case. Aberline's dedication and keen observational skills made him a prominent figure in the fight against crime in London, as he sought to unravel the mystery behind the gruesome murders that terrorized the Whitechapel district. These detectives employed innovative methods that were groundbreaking for their time. They utilized early forensic techniques, such as crime scene photography and meticulous note-taking, to gather evidence and piece together the puzzle of each case. Aberline, for instance, was known for his ability to analyze witness statements and connect seemingly unrelated clues, showcasing a level of deductive reasoning that would later be mirrored in Holmes's character. The real-life stories of these detectives not only highlight their contributions to crime solving but also serve as a foundation for the fictional world of Sherlock Holmes. Doyle drew inspiration from their methods, character traits, and the challenges they faced, crafting a detective who embodied the spirit of innovation and intellect. By exploring the lives of these real-life Sherlocks, we gain a deeper appreciation for the historical context that shaped the beloved detective we know today. No exploration of Victorian crime would be complete without delving into the case that still haunts the imagination of true crime enthusiasts to this day, Jack the Ripper. Between August and November 1888, 5 women were brutally murdered in the Whitechapel district of London's East End. These murders, commonly referred to as the Canonical Five, shocked not only London but the entire world. The killer, dubbed Jack the Ripper, was never caught, and his identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in criminal history. The gruesome nature of the murders, where victims were mutilated and organs removed with surgical precision, terrified the public. The press covered the murders extensively, and the public's fear grew with each new body discovered. But what made Jack the Ripper so elusive? The police faced numerous challenges in their investigation. Whitechapel was a densely populated, poverty-stricken area with narrow alleyways and little in the way of modern forensics. Witnesses were unreliable, and the killer's ability to strike and vanish in the maze-like streets left detectives baffled. The lack of coordination between different police divisions further hindered the investigation. This failure to apprehend Jack the Ripper exposed the inadequacies of Victorian policing and led to calls for reform in crime investigation methods. The sensationalism of the press played a crucial role in shaping public perception of crime during this time. Newspapers eagerly reported on the details of high-profile cases, often embellishing facts to attract readers. This relentless coverage not only heightened public anxiety but also created a culture of voyeurism, where citizens became engrossed in the macabre details of each crime. The press's portrayal of events often influenced how society viewed both the victims and the perpetrators, leading to a complex interplay of fear, fascination, and moral outrage. Societal reactions to these crimes were profound, prompting discussions about class, gender, and the effectiveness of law enforcement. The legacy of these notorious cases continues to resonate today, as they highlight the darker aspects of Victorian society and the challenges of crime solving in an era marked by rapid change. By examining these scandals, we gain insight into the fears and values of a society grappling with its own complexities. While Jack the Ripper captured headlines, he wasn't the only criminal making waves in Victorian England. The rise of urbanization also gave birth to violent criminal gangs, who operated in both London and other major cities like Birmingham. One of the most notorious gangs was the Peaky Blinders. The Peaky Blinders were a criminal gang that operated in the late 19th century, primarily in Birmingham. Known for their distinctive style, wearing flat caps with razor blades sewn into the brim, they were involved in a variety of illegal activities, including robbery, extortion, and violence. Their control over the streets was so tight that even the police feared to cross them. While they would later be glamorized in popular culture, their real-life exploits painted a much grimmer picture of lawlessness and brutality. Other criminal gangs in London, such as the High Rip Gang, terrorized the streets with random acts of violence, and pickpocketing was rampant. The infamous 40 Elephants, an all-female gang, specialized in shoplifting and became experts in evading the police. These gangs often thrived in the chaotic urban sprawl, where the anonymity of large cities allowed them to operate with impunity. Not all Victorian criminals were violent. Some used their wits and charm to outsmart both the public and law enforcement. Charles Peace, one of the most notorious con artists and burglars of the era, was a master of disguise and deception. Peace's life of crime began at an early age, and over the years, he honed his skills in burglary. His ability to evade capture earned him a legendary reputation, as he would often change his appearance and name to elude the police. He committed crimes across various cities in England, and despite multiple run-ins with the law, Peace always managed to escape. His final arrest, after years of terrorizing households, came when he was linked to the murder of a policeman in Manchester. Peace's notoriety didn't end with his capture. In court, he conducted his own defense, fascinating the public with his intelligence and audacity. His eventual execution in 1879 marked the end of a career that had made him one of the most famous criminals of the Victorian era. While there were numerous heinous crimes in Victorian England, none gripped the nation more than the Jack the Ripper case. The murder of Mary Jane Kelly, the last of the canonical 5 victims, was particularly brutal. Kelly was found in her own room, her body horrifically mutilated. The ferocity of the attack shocked even seasoned detectives, and the public was horrified. The investigation into her murder brought the city of London to a standstill. Newspapers reported every gory detail, and the police were under immense pressure to catch the killer. The public's panic was palpable, with many fearing that the Ripper would never be caught. Despite their best efforts, the police failed to solve the case, and Jack the Ripper vanished as mysteriously as he had appeared, leaving behind a legacy of fear that endures to this day. The crimes of Victorian England left an indelible mark on society. The public's morbid fascination with criminals, combined with the period's inadequate law enforcement, created an environment where crime could flourish. However, these notorious cases also paved the way for significant advancements in criminal investigation. The establishment of professional police forces, the development of forensic science, and the implementation of more systematic investigation techniques were all responses to the challenges posed by the criminals of the 19th century. The failures of law enforcement during this era, especially in cases like Jack the Ripper, exposed the need for modern criminology and led to reforms that shaped policing as we know it today. Now that you've heard the sinister secrets of Victorian crime, which case shocked you the most? Was it the brutal murders of Jack the Ripper, the rise of criminal gangs, or the cunning con artists? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for our next video.